First item of business is approval of the agenda for tonight. Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Have a second. All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. It is approved. The next item is review and approve the October 15th, 2024 meeting minutes. Has everyone had an opportunity to look at those? Any amendments need to be made? We have a motion to approve.
So moved.
Have a motion to approve the meeting minutes from October the 15th. We have a second. Have a second. All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Meeting minutes from October 15th are approved. Leads us right. That's leads us into the old business, which we have none. Before we go into the new business tonight, the public hearings we have, I'm going to turn it over to staff for an update and clarification on a couple of things.
Thank you all for attending tonight. But I do want to clarify exactly what we are meeting about. I think there was some miscommunication with the general public as to what we are meeting about tonight. So the Planning Commission has been working on amending some text language in 3-11 of the zoning ordinance for campgrounds and RV parks. This work had been undertaken way before the flood of Helene. And so the reason for the changes were basically just to get some clarification on new development of RV parks and campgrounds. So tonight's meeting has nothing to do with the established campgrounds within the county. So basically, this is forward-looking measures that we are proposing tonight for development of future campgrounds and RV parks. So if you're not here to discuss or to hear and provide public input for that, then I didn't want you to sit here for any reason. I apologize that the information got out was inaccurate and that you all came tonight, but I'm glad to see you. We definitely don't have public comment, but you are more than welcome. Please note that there are sign-up sheets out there. If you so feel that you would like to speak on it, we will go over what we're looking at as some of those proposed changes for new campgrounds. So I wanted to tell you that first so that you didn't sit here for no reason. I appreciate it.
Is there going to be a meeting to discuss changes in time?
You know,
We're just trying to get power to our lot. That's why we're all here.
right, and so I'll say this, and this isn't the place for the question and answer session, but come see me. My office doors are open from 8:30 to 4:30 every day. Call before you come just to make sure. But I do plan to be here, Lord willing, the rest of the week. Basically, what we're doing is giving those determinations the best way we can, and then know that each lot is unique in itself. Each one of those lots have individual issues, and so come to me. We'll go over your lot, we'll discuss it, we'll figure out what that base flood elevation is, and then we can give you the steps that you need to move forward to get your electrical. Does that help?
I came from Davidson County, so we were almost here, and I was like, well, I'm not gonna turn around yet. Just wanted to kind of know if there was gonna be a meeting in the future for it or anything.
You know,
How can we find that out?
We we would put that out on the Facebook page, notify you in the paper. But that if that comes to be what we end up doing as a public input session with myself as a floodplain manager, the zoning administrator, and the building official, then, and maybe even FEMA for that matter, I don't know. I mean, we'll get all the parties involved and kind of come again at maybe a roundtable discussion where we do a public input question and answer type session. That seems to be what people are looking for.
Yeah,
So,
we've been looking at it.
but yeah, I'll entertain that and have conversations with the administration and see whether or not they will entertain that.
Lot of rumors.
Yes, and I'm trying to debunk them all.
Yeah.
Thank you, appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank y'all for coming.
Thank you. So nobody wants to talk.
The other one's still here.
You gotta get back home now.
Y'all have a safe trip.
Bye-bye.
All right. Well, I think everyone here knows how the meeting decorum works now, so, we'll move right along. Moves us into the new business, public hearings. Do you want to give us an update first, or do you want okay, so you want to start with the comprehensive plan?
Right.
5-year review and update?
I'll start there, yes, sir, since that's the first thing on the agenda, but I want to, for public record, to just let everyone know what the planning commission has been doing for the last year and a half, 2 years. However, that as required by the Code of Virginia, section 15.2, 2230, requires the planning commission to review every 5 years and determine the comprehensive plan whether it needs amendments or revisions. So the planning commission, again, like I said earlier, has worked over a year and a half, maybe 2 years, refining that current data, using the most up-to-date census information with the assistance from the Berkeley Group and the assistance of Mount Rogers Planning District Commission to make those changes to each chapter. Tonight, we hold the public hearing to provide an opportunity to the community for their input. This is the most important step in ensuring that the final plan reflects the needs and the vision of our residents. So tonight, we share with the general public our draft of 2024 comprehensive plan, and would like to hear from anyone that has concerns, suggestions, or proposed amendments before the plan is submitted to the Board of Supervisors in the December meeting. Your public's information, feedback is crucial in shaping the future and development of Grayson County.
Take us through the public hearing.
How does the commission feel about going through the chapters of the plan, of the comprehensive plan, or are we satisfied with where we're at? Made the changes that the planning commission requested, the typos that were in the meeting minutes from October were addressed, in addition to shoring up some of the fine details of the indents and the paragraphs, and I went through each of those chapters, which was 5, 8, 10, 11, 12, 13, and the matrix. All of those topographical issues were handled. All the formatting issues were fixed. And so if the commission wants me to go back through all of that again, I will do so. If not, I will let the commission make that determination.
See heads and nods. Everybody good? We've been through it, so just want to make sure. So,
Yeah, we'll look at opening hours.
do we have a motion to open the public hearing for the 2024 comprehensive plan 5-year review and update?
So moved.
All right, we'll take a roll call vote. We do have a motion. Do we have a second? Okay, now do the vote, if you don't mind.
Mr. Boyer,
Aye.
Mr. Jones,
Aye.
Mr. Sharp, Mr. Walls,
Aye.
Mr. Funk, Mr. Ballard, and Mr. Ward. All approved. Motion carries.
We now enter into the public hearing for the 2024 Comprehensive Plan 5-year review and update. I'll check.
I'll talk to Gary since he's closer.
We have no one signed up to speak on the comprehensive plan review and update. Do we have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Have a motion, we have a second. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So now the public hearing for the comprehensive plan review and update is closed. Any discussion from the commission? We'll move right along.
Resolutions.
We do need to adopt a resolution for this.
Exemptions.
If the commission so chooses to do so.
I so moved. That we adopt the resolution.
All right. Second. We have a motion, we have a second. All in favor, let me know by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Mr. Chairman, do you want staff to read the resolution?
If you don't mind, share it with the commission.
So this resolution is by the Grayson County Planning Commission recommending the adoption of the comprehensive plan and addendums. Whereas section 15.2, 2230 of the Virginia Code requires review of the comprehensive plan every 5 years to determine whether it needs to be amended. And whereas the Grayson County Planning Commission has conducted a thorough review of the comprehensive plan, including analysis of current data, departmental feedback, alignment with local goals. And whereas the adoption of the comprehensive plan and its appendices is essential for guiding land use decisions, infrastructure development, and community initiatives within Grayson County. Whereas the Planning Commission finds the amendment guides and accomplishes coordinated, adjusted, and harmonious development of the territory, which will, in accordance with present and probable future needs and resources, best promote health, safety, morals, order, convenience, prosperity, and general welfare of the inhabitants, including the elderly and persons with disabilities. And whereas the Grayson County Planning Commission hereby recommends to the Board of Supervisors that the 5-year review of the comprehensive plan is complete. Be it further resolved that the Planning Commission acknowledges the importance of the ongoing community engagement and suggests that periodic updates and reviews be scheduled to ensure the continued relevance of the plan. Be it further resolved that the resolution be forwarded to the Board of Supervisors for their consideration and action. Now therefore be it that the Grayson County Planning Commission does hereby recommend that the Board of Supervisors adopt the updated comprehensive plan, addendums, and the implementation matrix. Adopted this 19th day of November 2024 in the Grayson County, Virginia. Mr. Chairman. Please, sir.
Were you gentlemen wanting to sign up on, public comment for anything tonight?
Okay, just hear the list.
Okay, just want to make sure. All right. Moves us right along to the zoning ordinance text amendment, 3-11, zoning new development regulations, campground, RV parks. Staff, do you have any information before we do the public hearing?
I do, and I believe Brian already, our IT guy, thank you, he's already got it up going. So basically, this is what was provided to you in your board packet. It's the same information that we were originally looking at in early September, again in October. And since your board packet was sent to you, our county attorney did recommend some changes. It is in the board packet, but I'm not sure whether or not you all can identify what those changes were. They were struck in red, but I will clarify for the public record as to what those minor changes were. So 3-11 is the draft zoning regulations for campgrounds and RV parks. I'll add for the record, this is only for new development of campgrounds and RV parks. This does not have anything to do with the current established campgrounds already within Grayson County. So for clarification points, the Planning Commission chose to add this language just in the event that we have another campground ever get proposed to us. We'll have some text regulations to be able to request from that developer what we need to see in regards to new campground. So campground, the definition comes from the Code of Virginia, campgrounds, camping units, campsites, primitive campsites, sanitary facilities, self-contained camping units, and service buildings. All those definitions come from the Code of Virginia as it relates to campgrounds. The other amendments that we're proposing is 3-11.2, and those are the standards for campgrounds for recreational vehicles. So developments should be designed to encourage compatibility, the area contained with surrounding land uses, ensuring that the public health, safety, and the general welfare is protected, minimizing adverse impacts and environmental impacts to the air, the land, the water, the resources of the state, and the proper provisions of all public facilities shall be made. So the Planning Commission worked for the last several months on defining what those standards should look like. The minimum standards they came up with for newly constructed or newly developed campgrounds and RV parks should be no less than 3 acres. One item that I want to address that I'm not sure whether or not you can see it on the screen, we originally had minimum lot and space sizes. Our county attorney has reviewed this language and proposed that we change that. I struck it, and he wanted it defined as campsite size. So in general, it's the same thing, but he wanted the definition to mean exactly that. That each campsite size, and you'll notice that the word lots and spaces were struck, and individual campsites shall be no less than 3,000 square feet. Each lot or space shall be a minimum of 50 feet in width and shall include parking spaces. So that just shored that information up. Additionally, in the October meeting, this board decided that we needed to make sure that any type of agreement that is to the lesser standard for minimum setbacks will be documented and notarized in a letter and recorded in the clerk's office here in Grayson County. So I fixed that amendment. Interior roads and primary roads are still the same. health and safety and compliance is still applicable. The site development plan is still intact after he reviewed it. The one thing that was discussed in the planning commission, it was that we would change the layout or the scale of the plan. And so we changed that to benefit the designer and change the wording from the standard of 1 1/100 of an inch to in a scale of the designer's choice, based on the recommendation of our local surveyor. Typo was addressed in number 1, the word if, and was replaced with of.
Can you pause for just a second?
Yes, sir.
If you go back to number 2, the campsite size, it says campsites. Should it be campsite or should it be plural?
I think I picked it up from campsite. You're right. It's a typo. And I'll fix it before we send it over to the board of supervisors.
Just want to make sure before we went any further.
Yeah. Okay. And then lastly, based on the review from the attorney, he asked about number 12. And when we were having the conversations about safety, we were having the sheriff's department and emergency management look at the review. And the word approvals, he requested that to be struck because technically no one can give approvals other than the planning commission and the board of supervisors, because the planning commission and the board of supervisors are the only ones that have land use regulation. They're the only ones that have authority to do that. So we struck approvals. His feedback, his recommendation, thank you, Brian. His recommendation was feedback and recommendations be added instead of approvals. So those are the only elements that were fixed that you were unaware of at the time that we discussed this in October. Does the planning commission have any issues or concerns that need to be addressed for me? Okay.
Anything at all, Commission? All right. So just to clarify on that number 2, it is supposed to be just campsite.
Campsite, yes, it should model after the definition. And I made it plural, and that's a typo on my part, and it will be corrected before it goes to board of supervisors for consideration.
Just want to make sure with the clarification. All right. Anything else?
I do not have anything else to report.
Okay. At this time, do we have a motion to enter into the public hearing for the zoning ordinance text amendment 3-11 zoning new development regulations campground RV parks?
So moved.
Have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
We'll take a roll call vote.
Mr. Boyer,
Aye.
Mr. Jones,
Aye.
Mr. Sharp, Mr. Walls,
Aye.
Mr. Funk, Mr. Ballard,
Aye.
and Mr. Ward.
Aye.
Motion carries.
We now enter into the public hearing for the zoning ordinance text amendment 3-11 zoning new development regulations campground RV parks. We do not have anyone signed up for public comment. Do we have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Public hearing is now closed for the zoning ordinance text amendment 3-11 zoning new development regulations campground RV parks. Now, we do have a resolution that we need to either adopt or not. Would you like to share that with us first, how it reads?
Sure. A resolution to recommend amendments to the zoning text for the development of campgrounds and RV parks. Whereas section 15.2-2204 of the Code of Virginia, 1950, as amended, established that any locality may by ordinance establish regulations on zoning and planning. Whereas the Grayson County zoning ordinance currently regulates land use and development within the county. And whereas the Planning Commission recognizes the need to update zoning regulations to accommodate the development of campgrounds and RV parks, while ensuring compatibility surrounding the land uses and maintaining community standards. And whereas the Planning Commission has conducted a thorough review of existing zoning provisions and has identified areas for improvement. And now therefore it be resolved, the Grayson County Planning Commission recommends the following amendments to the zoning text regarding the development and campgrounds of RV parks. 1, definitions to include clear definitions of campground, camping unit, campsite, primitive campsite, sanitary facilities, and service buildings for clear, concise meanings. 2, development standards to establish development standards including lot sizes, spacing between sites, setback and infrastructure requirements such as access roads, lot utilities, and waste disposal. Number 3 is public safety and health. Outline safety and health regulations to ensure facilities meet necessary code and standards. 4, site development standards, establishing requirements from the design plan and elements required for the development of a campground and an RV park. Be it further resolved that the Planning Commission encourages public input and discussion regarding the proposed amendments and hold a public hearing on November the 19th, 2024 to gather feedback. Be it further resolved that the resolution shall be forwarded to the Grayson County Board of Supervisors for consideration and action. If the Planning Commission so chooses, it would be adopted this 19th day of November in Grayson County, Virginia.
Okay, Commission, any concerns, amendments need to be made? Do we have a motion to adopt the resolution as shared?
I move we adopt.
We have a motion to adopt. Do we have a second?
Second.
I have a second. We will take a roll call vote, if you don't mind, please.
Mr. Boyer?
Aye.
Mr. Jones? Mr. Sharp? Mr. Walls?
Aye.
Mr. Funk? Mr. Ballard? And Mr. Ward? Motion carries.
All right, the next item on the agenda is the subdivision ordinance 6-3, single division family cemetery exemption. Ms. Black, do you have anything for us on that before we proceed?
I do. As part of the review from the county attorney, he did go through and identify one need, and that was under the cemetery definition 6-3.1. He requested that we add in there, just for clarification points, that the land set aside may be subdivided for a single division. He felt like that was if it was left as it was, someone might misconstrue that and could argue that. So this gives specific details that it can or may be subdivided. So that's the only change that he requested that be made to the language for the cemetery for the subdivision ordinance.
That was just clarifying that doing the cemetery doesn't take away.
Right, and that's the purpose of this particular language rewrite, just for the record, is adding this so that families can bury their loved ones on their property, cutting out a portion for a cemetery, and it not be considered a single division. Therefore, it would be an exemption. Leaving a single division for a property owner at some other time for some other purpose. We also, just for the record, we've added the definition straight out of the Code of Virginia 6-3.2. cemetery, a dedicated piece of land for memorializing deceased humans, associated with chapels and mausoleums, art, statuaries, and gardens. A cemetery may be a principal use or an accessory to a religious assembly. Cemeteries shall meet the requirements of the Code of Virginia under section 57-26. Family cemetery means a private burying ground or a cemetery not operated for profit. Contains a collection of graves of people who descend from the same immediate family and that be exempt from taxation pursuant to Article 10, Section 6A3 of the Constitution. And immediate family member and descendant was also added, meaning that a spouse, a child, a parent, a sibling, a grandchild, a grandparent, a parent-in-law of a deceased person buried in a family cemetery. So that defines who that family can be buried in that cemetery. Yes.
Will these cemeteries get an assigned, even though they're tax exempt, will they get an assigned tax parcel?
I do believe that the assessment office does give that a tax number. The only other thing that we added to that language was that, one, it gets reviewed and recorded in the clerk's office, named, specifically named. So if it was family cemetery, it gets recorded so that historically research can be done and find that those grave markers.
For long-standing cemeteries, there's a requirement of access, family name of the cemetery. Are those required for
This is moving forward,
not?
not for the post, but just for the present. But I do know that after speaking with the county attorney that there is language in the code that by right, you have right to access those cemeteries, whether there's a right of way there or not.
Commission, got anything else? Okay, we have a motion to enter into the public hearing for subdivision ordinance 6-3, single division family cemetery exemption.
So moved.
Have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Have a second. Roll call.
Mr. Boyer?
Aye.
Mr. Jones? Mr. Sharp? Mr. Walls?
Aye.
Mr. Funk? Mr. Ballard? Mr. Ward? Motion carries.
We are now entered into the public hearing for the subdivision ordinance 6-3, single division family cemetery exemption. We have no one signed up to speak or comment on for the public hearing. Do we have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Do we have a second? Have a second. All in favor of closing the public hearing at this time for the family cemetery exemption subdivision ordinance 6-3, single division, let it be known as saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Public hearing is now closed. We also need to adopt a resolution for this. I'll ask staff if she will to please read the proposed resolution to us.
A resolution recommending amendments to the Grayson County Subdivision Ordinance, Article 6-3, Single Division to allow for family cemeteries. Whereas the Grayson County Planning Commission is reviewing and updating the Grayson County Subdivision Ordinance, and whereas the Grayson County Subdivision Ordinance may from time to time be amended, supplemented, changed, modified, and repealed by the governing body pursuant to Section 15.2, 2253 of the Code of Virginia. Whereas this resolution is to amend Section Article 6, Section 6-3, Single Divisions, which is listed below as an exemption for the purposes of clarification of single divisions for the purpose of family cemeteries to include the intent and addition of definitions for cemetery in accordance with Section 57-26 Code of Virginia, and exemption 6-3.1, a cemetery Land set aside that may be subdivided for a single division or the development of a cemetery shall not be required to follow the provision of this ordinance, provided however that the property shall be served with a 30-foot right-of-way from the state maintained road. A cemetery shall be defined as a single division of property in which the land is used or intended to be used for the burial of the dead and dedicated for cemetery purposes, including columbariums, crematories, and mausoleums. The plat showing the cemetery boundary, right-of-way, and the official name of the cemetery shall be submitted to the subdivision agent for review and approval. Land divided for this purpose of establishing a separate parcel as a cemetery where the property has been used as a cemetery prior to March 13th, 1978, shall not be required to follow the provisions of this ordinance provided. However, the plat showing the cemetery boundary shall be submitted to the subdivision agent for review and approval. 6-3.2 Definitions. The following term is used in this section. Shall be defined as indicated unless the context requires a different meaning. Cemetery. Land dedicated for the burial and memorializing the deceased humans, including associated structures such as chapels and or mausoleums, arts and sanctuary and gardens. Cemetery may be principal use and accessory to religious assembly uses. Cemetery shall meet the requirements set forth in the Virginia Code, section 726. Family cemetery means a private burying ground or cemetery not operated for profit. Contains a collection of graves of people who descended from the same immediate family, exempt from the pursuit of right ways. Section 6A3 Constitution of Virginia. Immediate family member and descendant means a spouse, child, parent, sibling, grandchild, grandparent, parent-in-law of a deceased person buried in a family cemetery. Whereas Grayson County Planning Commission held a properly advertised public hearing on November the 19th, 2024 on these amendments. Whereas the commission finds the proposed amendments are in the interest of public necessity, convenience, general welfare, and good zoning practices. Now therefore it be resolved that this resolution shall be forwarded to the Grayson County Board of Supervisors for consideration and action, adopted on the 19th day of November 2024 in Grayson County, Virginia.
Commission, you find anything being amended on the resolution, or do we have a motion to approve the resolution and adopt it as read?
I so move.
Have a motion to approve the resolution and adopt it as read and send it to the Board of Supervisors. Do we have a second? Have a second. Do a roll call.
Roll call vote. Mr. Boyer.
Aye.
Mr. Jones.
Aye.
Mr. Sharp. Mr. Walls.
Aye.
Mr. Funk.
Aye.
Mr. Ballard. And Mr. Ward.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Right. Have any updates for us, anything going on?
Not any at this moment, that I can think of.
Good.
I have no staff updates.
Commission, you got anything?
Glad we got through this.
Absolutely.
I just want to thank the planning commission for all their hard work, for a long suffering, 1.5, 2 years on the comprehensive plan. And we'll do it again in 5.
Number 5.
Well, if the next comprehensive plan will actually be a full-fledged rewrite. But of course, that won't come strictly from all of us. We'll have to entertain outside sources to help us navigate that process. There'll be community involvement, surveys, a lot of hard work will go into it, but let's take a break for about a year.
Yeah, if only we could. All right. Commission, do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Have a motion, do we have a second? Have a second. All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
I think I'm the official.
Grayson County Planning Commission is now adjourned. Thank you all for coming. We appreciate each one of you and the work you put in.
Thank you for saying.